and do what they need to do. They're going to execute. They're not going to be too crazy with anything. But on the other side of the board, if we see SK coming out on top, we're also going to see some swag with it.
Yes, the swag would be absolutely fantastic if it does come to pass. So let's talk a little bit of this. Rebirth of Empire saying, no crawl, jetpacks yesterday, you scared us.
Yeah, I was thinking in my head, I was like, if I was Rebirth of Empire, what am I going to do against SK Gaming? I was thinking about banning either Cole or whatchamacallit? Sky, sorry.
Yeah, Sky,
because,
the weapon Sky.
We've seen how well they did actually in the jungle, and like that amount of pressure and how well they were able to like farm so easily in the early game just to scale into the mid game to pretty much carry on their team in the end. Like positioning wise, team coordination wise, and like just prioritizing which targets to knock out first.
All right, so Kroll's going to be out. There's the Adagio ban. Now this could lead us into that superstar Arden pick.
Definitely. If on Rebirth of Empires, a great pick for them would actually be Arden because they can throw so much around him. And although we haven't seen Rebirth of Empire run any Ardens like recently, so it's not guaranteed that that first pick is going to be theirs.
Now, speaking of, if they do go for the Arden, then SK Gaming doesn't, like, they won't really feel a huge amount of pressure to pick up a roam. Could they go into that Sky early, or would you leave that a little bit later on?
Rebirth of Empire might actually pick up the Sky early on.
Oh, really?
Because we've actually seen them play it. So that's actually really good on their side. While on SK Gaming, it's like they'll probably try and pick up this Arden and the Rona.
All right, so Arden Rona for a little bit more of that jungle presence. We've seen a heck of a lot of Adagio Rona here, Mr. Tasty Bacon, but there's the Arden coming out. Koshka instead.
Yeah, it's obviously, the Arden is still such a huge pick for all the teams in Europe, so I think that SK is going to be perfectly happy getting that one over onto their side. And then Koshka, still just so strong early game. It's all about trying to get the game snowballed from the first few minutes with the Koshka.
All right, so what do you respond with here, Mr. Rome? There's the Catherine.
Rona in lane.
And Rona in lane it is, sir. All right, definitely still on your game. So Catherine for the protecting the Sky early, or is this just simply because Arden and Adagio are both out?
Well, it's actually a comp that they've run a lot of Ronas, a lot of Skies already. But let's take a look at SK here. Like yesterday, we saw them bust out a Saw, and this is actually a pretty good time for them to bust out another Saw. And they actually made it work yesterday. They're the only other team to actually run a Saw and win other than Media Pixel.
Yep, that is definitely something to keep in mind. It looks like it's going to be a Scarf. I mean, it started with an S. I'll give you some points for it. But, it's still a very feared laner.
Oh, definitely. And it's actually the perfect counter to Rona because being able to stand far back, being able to poke, and like actually do that damage. The only thing that we're going to have to worry on is how well is Rebirth of Empire going to be able to use those reflex blocks? Because once Koshka comes in and uses her ult and Arden pretty much traps everybody in his gauntlet, they don't have anywhere to hide from this Scarf. And this is where like Scarf really shines. All that damage output, all that CP is going to make a big difference in this game.
All right, Bacon, you called it game number 1. It was your prediction coming true. Who do you favor in this lineup?
This is again, I knew going into this last day, all these games were going to be really tough to call. But for this second semifinal, I think it's going to be SK Gaming moving on to the finals.
All right, the swag factor coming into effect for these guys. We'll have to see Rebirth of Empire and SK Gaming. Game number 1 here of the semis. We're going to throw it again to Humanist and Zekant to find out what's about to go down.
Thank you, Forecourt Jester, and I am looking forward to this game, as always. So I was kind of hoping for the Solid coming out again. That was the exact same competition they used yesterday. They picked the Arden, they picked the Koshka, and this time around, they decided to go with Scarf.
Yeah, well, Scarf's going to come out in this lineup. They have some nice stuns to set this up. Of course, when the gauntlet goes down, we're going to have big AoE lockdown. And I don't know, they're going to have to come forward and land these abilities, of course, to have it all work out for them. But the potential is truly there.
Yeah, most certainly. And it's really up to SK. Like, if they're able to get Scarf to the mid to late game, he is going to be such a factor in this game, dropping those Spitfires, throwing them out, making sure that it's very difficult for the side of Rebirth of Empire to approach. However, with the Sky and with the Rona, if Rebirth of Empire gets ahead early on, it's going to be very, very tough for Scarf to stay alive.
Yeah, it'll be crazy. I mean, if Scarf gets jumped on and he's not able to get his item progression like he needs, if he's not backed up by his allies, it could be an incredibly scary experience, to say the least. But with that said, we are into the fold. We have Game 1 underway. This is going to be a great matchup, guys. Thanks for joining us here live. Thanks for watching online. And players are moving out to their positions. It looks like we'll have Rona along with Waldemar here in lane. Now, it feels like it could be a little bit annoying for Arona to match up against a Scarf. Of course, it's kind of dangerous for Scarf if, you know, he can't play too aggressively, has to be wary of rotations and stuff. But what's your take on that, Zekent?
Yeah, one of the big things about this lane matchup is that Net Toilet will be able to do some very heavy damage with that foe splitter. However, you will get poked down by Waldemar's Scarf a little bit at a time, but Net Toilet with he does have a light shield, so he's not going to be taking too much damage. I'm expecting him to pick up a Book of Eulogies very, very soon after. And once he has those two, Scarf will not be able to do too much damage to him. So it really comes down to how well can Waldemar farm at that point.
Right. So as long as you're getting your last hits, you're farming well, you're going to be able to sustain yourself in lane, and that harass will not be as effective.
Most certainly. And right now I do see MyQ actually, you know, making a trip up the lane, walking back out. And right now, it's really coming down to how well can these two laners do. Because in the jungle, MYQ and Jetpacks, they're just farming away. Same on the side of Rebirth of Empire. They're focusing on farming. They want to hit their early game spikes, especially that Skye. When she hits level 2, it hits level 3. Her forward barrage is just absolutely overwhelming.
Yes, it can be very, very hard hitting at that point in the match. These guys actually kind of moving down towards this jungle shop here. Do you think that there will be an aggressive invade into the jungle, or will it be a movement into lane to get our action started in this game?
If anything, I would expect Rebirth of Empire to go for an aggressive invade. They do have 4 light shields coming out on their side already, and that's going to be so many defensive stats against the side of SK, especially because SK is going with that double crystal composition.
Oh, both teams making their way up towards the lane, hiding in the bushes, up fire, respectively on his side. MYQ will show himself moving forward, and he's on to Net Toilet. Net Toilet will just into the fray, back towards the turret. No real fear there at this point, but, you know, they're going to have to respect this.
So this will make the side of SK fall a little bit of time. Great Kali, in the meantime, was farming away on that Skye, getting a little bit more jungle camps for himself and picking up a few levels. So he is level 3 now. He does have 2 light shields and 2 crystal bits. His damage is going to be pretty high if he ever engages early on.
Yeah, so a little bit of an efficiency game there for those guys. And 2 minutes, 45 seconds into this game, we have no kills, an even gold score for both teams. And it feels like they both are really just taking their time to feel this map out before really committing to anything.
Yeah, neither of these teams really needs to aggress early on. They can both play for the mid to late game. With the Scarf on the side of SK, the poke will be very, very immense. On the other side, Rebirth of Empire, if they get a good engage at any point in time, they will completely wipe out SK Gaming. But it really just comes down to how well these teams play the team fighting phase.
Well, the team fighting phase is going to be very, very exciting. You know, coming from SK, like, they do have that single target stun coming out of Jetpacks on the Koshka. If you can start it with that, you can start it with the Gauntlet and then follow up. But if you're isolated and you don't have someone there to back you up, you can get popped down so quickly.
Most certainly, and Jetpacks, when he does hit level 6, I would expect to see a gank onto Great Kali or Net Toilet, depending on which one decides to rotate into lane at that point. But I am expecting Great Kali to stick in the jungle for the most part. Net Toilet is able to farm pretty well right now. He's sitting at 30 CS, Waldemar's only at 23, and the lane is still close to SK's turret. So Net Toilet, he's not going to be able to do too much for a few moments, especially because MYQ is just waiting right here in the wings.
Well, blood for blood, he's going to move into lane. A little poke going out onto Net Toilet, but nothing really going to come of it. Now the movement from the top side into the jungle, but they're going to quickly rethink that and move back towards their own side of the map here. The gold mine is now spawned, a couple scout traps flanking that, so we'll see if teams look to make a movement down there at any point.
Right, and right now, Waldemar, the lane is pushing a little bit towards the side of Rebirth of Empire. So that's why that going to be able to pick up all the farm that he has not been able to get for the past few, like, 30 seconds or so, and just equalize or get ahead of Waldemar even more. So 43 CS to the 30 of Waldemar, he's doing quite well. And Great Kali also, 29 to Jetpacks at 28.
This is a pretty passive game. How much of this is respect for the other team, and how much of this is just really understanding your composition, you think?
I think both teams, they are not looking for an engage. If they face check a bush and there is someone in it, they will go down. Like, if Great Kali gets caught out by Jetpacks' Koshka at this point, the Yummy Catnip Frenzy on top of the Pouncy Fly and Twirly Death will do so much damage to him that he'll have to back off. So there's really no reason for them to engage quite yet. But if they do choose to, if they can go for the outplay, if they're confident in themselves, they can still go for it.
Yeah, and as you say, these guys, face checking a bush and running into them could be devastating. So this game, I've been seeing a lot of flares coming out from both teams doing scouting here.
Yeah, so right now, MYQ stepping over Scout Trap, taking a little bit of damage, not really too worried about that. And as I said, Rebirth of Empire, they are sitting on quite a few light shields, which is going to be very effective for them if they do take these early game fights.
Well, early game fights, will they happen or will they not? At this point, everyone just content to sit back and farm. And, you know, a little bit of an advantage going to the side of Rebirth of Empire, but really it's not anything devastating at this point. It's just a slight lead. And, of course, the gold mine is going to be a big bone of contention as the game moves forward. A little bit of aggression here onto MYQ, but he's really not in danger of falling at this point. A 3-man movement from Rebirth of Empire into the jungle. It feels threatening, but now with Waldemar having the lane in good position, oh my goodness, it looks like we will have first blood here as Arden does go down. It was a little bit of a juke back, and Waldemar not able to make it down there in time to save his ally.
And that was a little bit of an oversight from the side of SK Gaming. Right now, they see a Great Khali had picked up his Frostburn. That is a first power spike for Sky. She is able to kite so much more effectively with that Frostburn. And on the other side, Jetpacks, he had returned to base to go pick up that Aftershock. And without it, he would not be able to do much damage. And with it, it's great. But MYQ did go down in the meantime.
Yeah, MYQ goes down. It's not a terrible loss for them. They didn't lose 2 off of it, and you know, no real big. I mean, I guess they lose gold mine, but they're not losing turrets. They're not getting pushed. They can always go reclaim that gold mine at any point. But maybe MYQ just gonna have to respect the fact that was a bit of a regoose coming out of Rebirth of Empire. They had that 3-man force. They moved into bush and then just juked back on him. So that was a nice play.
Right, and right now SK Gaming might be getting caught a little bit once again, but MYQ just gonna walk his way back. He'll be just fine. You do see MYQ, he has a Shiver Steel. He might be going for a Warhorn, and could we be seeing Xuan's favorite breaking point coming out?
Well, it's not only Xuan's, I think it's now mine as well. So you know what? I would love to see it. It was played to great effect, and I'm sure there are not only people who will be copying it in this tournament, but probably in a lot of public and ranked matches as well.
Yeah, most certainly. And right now, MYQ, with that Shiver Steel, it's going to be pretty effective against Nettoy. That's Rona. Whenever Nettoy jumps in, if he gets hit by MYQ with that Shiver Steel, he's not going to be able to do much to Waldemar or Jetpacks.
A little bit of poke happening here. MYQ happy to just hang out with Waldemar, doing a little bit of harass onto Nettoilette. Nettoilette really not too scared. At any point, if he gets in trouble, he can just jump away with that into the fray ability.
Yeah, and right now, just wave clearing right now. The red mist comes out, but it's not really meant to do anything. It's just really to clear the minion waves a little bit. And Great Khali continues farming. He is level 8 on that Sky. He does have Surrey Strike maxed out, and that's going to be very, very important in these coming fights. Being able to use that forward barrage twice in a row is just so devastating.
Well, these guys might have a clash here. I don't know if they actually expect it, but the 3-man from both teams towards the middle of this jungle. And Nettoilette is forward, will enter the fray. The gauntlet goes down. Waldemar is going to move out. Jetpacks is isolated and locked down. Yummy Catnip Frenzy comes out, but to no avail as he does fall. And now they are on the chase. Waldemar might be the target. Forward barrage comes out of Great Khali. There is no target lock, so he's not going to be able to Surrey Strike and reposition himself forward. But it doesn't matter. Nice movement. They're flanked. Waldemar's going to go down as well. Nettoilette will move forward with that into the fray, and now they want MYQ, but he might just be a little too far forward to claim that. But 3-0 going in favor of Rebirth of Empire as we approach the 9-minute mark of this game.
Yeah, Rebirth of Empire doing fantastically in that team fight. The engagement was just impeccable. MYQ threw down a gauntlet, but he caught everyone inside of it, which meant that Rebirth of Empire, they were perfectly fine with fighting inside the gauntlet.
Man, that is just some really nice play coming out of Rebirth. And, you know, they're going to have to respect Great Khali's damage output. They're going to have to respect Rona. And, I mean, it looks like they really wanted to just get in there and trade blows. But they're going to have to be a little more careful moving forward. Yeah,
one of the big things for SK Gaming, though, is MYQ is really going to have to work on his gauntlets. He's going to have to perfectly position them in a way that locks out half the team of Rebirth of Empire and catches just 1 or 2 members inside so that they're able to take those fights.
Now, who do you think is going to be the easiest for them to kill? If you had the choice, you're going to isolate one of these targets and take them out. Is that possibly going to be Sky? Is it going to be Rona? What are your thoughts on this?
I think they're going to they want to take out Great Khali on that Sky, but Nettoilette will probably be a one in their face and probably the one they have to focus first.
Right. So maybe you lock the other ones out, you isolate Rona and try to burst her down. But, you know, the thing is, at this point, they're going to have to take someone down from 100 to 0. If this fight continues on, it can really turn around on them. And so they're going to have to be careful with their use of these spells at this point. A little bit of a movement here from SK into the middle of this map. They are in the lane here in force. Upfire kind of hanging out in the bush off to his west here. Great Khali with Upfire. Looks like they're just going to be happy to move back into the jungle as nothing is happening there in lane.
Yeah, I'm expecting a little bit more aggression to come out of Rebirth of Empire very, very soon. As soon as this gold mine pays out, as soon as they have a little bit more of a gold lead, I think they should start taking more fights. They are an incredibly powerful composition at this point in the game. Great Kali able to dance around the edge of fights. Net Toilet in the middle with that red mist, with that Serpent's Mask is going to be so hard to kill, especially with the Aegis and the triple, or the Crystal Power coming out from SK Gaming.
Well, we've seen so many Sky bans, and then they let Sky through in this game, and it's crazy to see the damage output of the Sky. They're really going to have to respect it. And some people have been talking about the weapon build versus the crystal build on Sky at this point. And do you think that this is the right way to go here? I think it really is, and it's going to put out a lot of damage. They've got the weapon coming out of Net Toilette, and it's just really a balanced comp.
Yeah, for sure. I think the Crystal Sky is very necessary in this game in particular. They don't really want to go double weapon, especially against SK's composition. Arden will be able to just tank up so much of that damage. And Great Kali, with that Frostburn, is really going to be able to kite around the members of SK Gaming. Even when Jetpacks jumps in with that Pouncy Fun, if the forward barrage is going, the slow coming out from the Frostburn will just be immense.
Immense and intense. Yes, Jetpacks is going to have to be careful with these engagements and scout it out there. 1 scout trap, 2 scout traps. It's just all littered across this side of the map here for Rebirth of Empire. Maybe a slight engage. No one really wants to commit to that one, but there are all the members from both teams here in the lane, and people are going to have to be careful not to overstay their welcome or just step a little too far forward and get punished for it.
Yeah, I would not actually mind seeing Rebirth of Empire start taking these minion mines because they are stronger. They are able to push. I would like to see them just take the minion mines, make sure they have control of the gold mine, and just try taking down these turrets. Because right now, as it is, Waldemar is just clearing the waves far too quickly.
Yeah, he's doing a great job, but coming into this game, it feels like a lot of our analysts and people in general were favoring SK against Rebirth of Empire, but Rebirth being up with about a 4K gold lead and a 3-0 advantage at this point. I mean, is this how you saw this game playing out?
Honestly, with the team compositions, I could see it playing out either way, but Rebirth of Empire has definitely played the early game more strongly, and right now, MYQ, he has that Warhorn, he has that Shira Steel. I might not be surprised too much if we do see the breaking point come out, because SK really does need that weapon damage.
Oh, MIQ eating a lot of damage, but the Goop's lit on fire by Waldemar, so that means that we're going to have to scatter about a little bit and not commit onto that. And with that, they're happy to move back to the safety of their own jungle, and Net Toilette will head back to lane while his allies just hang around.
Yeah, this is actually a good opportunity for Rebirth of Empire to maybe start pushing. Like, I really want to see them take these minion mines. I think that they do have enough power at this point to just potentially even dive under SK Gaming's turret and burst out onto some kills.
Yeah, so maybe a lot of matches you don't want to be taking it this early into the match, but in this case, it could really work out in their benefit.
Most certainly, and one of the big things is, especially even if SK decides to take fights under turrets, it doesn't matter because at Rebirth of Empire they can disengage very effectively as we have a fight.
Well, it looks like they want to fight. The Yummy Catnip Frenzy did come out onto Great Kali, but now the turnarounds here as Waldemar is the focus. Net Toilette's up there. Look at that lifesteal coming out. Jetpacks is forced to run away. Waldemar is lit up. MYQ's low as well. Can Jetpacks get out of this one? This is a scary situation for this poor little kitty cat as she moves back under the safety of her turret, but she will get away. It'll be a recall back to base, and now 4-0, a massive advantage to Rebirth, and here's the push that you were talking about.
Yes, and this is exactly what I wanted to see out of Rebirth of Empire. They have the power right now. They are able to take these fights so easily. Like right now, Great Kali, he is untouchable. He has reflex block. As long as he blocks the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, I don't think SK can even get close to him. And Net Toilet just in the middle of SK's team, just wreaking so much havoc.
That was really beautiful. That red mist came out, there was life still happening, and she was just doing damage to everybody. It's just a beautiful thing.
Most certainly. And Waldemar right now, he does have his Broken Myth, he does have his Frostburn, so he is able to keep Rebirth of Empire at bay. However, that's only if Rebirth of Empire is not willing to dive under turrets and not willing to dive into fights.
So as we move later on into this game, what do the Swag Kings have to do to pull this back into their favor?
So the big thing for them is that they just have, honestly, they can farm it out, they can try playing for what they can, but I do think Rebirth of Empire's team composition is a little bit better. But what they really need to do is they need to get scout traps all over the map. They need to make sure Waldemar is never jumped on by anyone from Rebirth of Empire. And if he is able to stand back and just constantly throw his Spitfires out for that poke damage, I think SK Gaming can take this game still.
Right. Well, let's see if they can do that as we move forward. It is 15 minutes, 30 seconds into this game. That means the Kraken is out on the map. So this is going to be a big bone of contention here for both teams. And we see SK move down towards this jungle shop, pick up some items, and maybe they look to move back towards the lane, or just they kind of protect each other as they take out some minion camps. Well, it looks like they're going to just engage. Upfire's all in the mix of this. Netwillet letting out that red mist, and Waldemar, the player you said needed to not get locked down and hang in the back, is the first to fall. That means they're able to chase down. Jetpacks is there. He lets out the Yummy Catnip Frenzy, but it's in a defensive manner. That's not how he wants to be playing this one. MYQ will go down as well, and it's an ace for Rebirth of Empire.
Yeah, and Rebirth of Empire is playing this game so flawlessly. No turrets down, 7-0 kills. They are playing so incredibly well on this third and final day.
And these guys, it's so impressive. We like Forkwart did mention, these guys they went down 0-2 in day 1. They come back yesterday, they looked really good, and here they're just on fire. So this is the most important day to be playing your best, and they really are doing it.
Yeah, they are definitely showing why they are the #1 seed in this tournament. And right now, Rebirth Empire with the Kraken with an 8,000 gold lead, they are looking to pressure this game on SK Gaming and potentially look for a win right now.
Yeah, they're looking to close out game 1. We're 17 minutes into it. It could be even possibly a skunk here. Great Khali does have the double infusion coming out, so he is ready to lay that damage down, and this is going to be a very scary fight for SK. Not only SK, but any SK fans out there watching this right now, you better be praying for these guys, because this is a very scary position to be in. I mean, you're going to have to land everything perfectly if you want to walk out of this one.
Yeah, and that's why it jumps in.
Netwillet jumps in so deep. The Yummy Catnip Frenzy does come out. Waldemar is kind of in the front for his team. He'll get moved back. A nice Vanguard there from Arden. MYQ is locked onto Netwillet along with the rest of his allies, but it doesn't matter. Great Khali says he's just going to smash him down with that forward barrage. And look at that. He gets all 3 kills. That's going to be a game. That's going to be a skunk. 10-0 going the way. Rebirth of Empire, game 1.
Yeah, that was such a fantastic play coming out from the side of Rebirth of Empire. 10-0, just flawless execution of their team composition. I do feel like SK Gaming, they were doing okay early on, but they started falling behind.